I'll be 28 in June. And so I say all that to say, being in the position of in business and being a minority, a lot of people seek you out to not only provide a handout, but a hand up. And sometimes that can be a little intimidating because you don't necessarily know what you want to do yet. You haven't found your own path and style to get there. But then at the same rate, you want a mentor. And I think I have been a little timid to find mentors that help me find my passion, my calling, my way, instead of finding a mentor that trains me to be them. And that can be very intimidating because then you know your work ethic is there, the exposure is there, you gain a strong network, but then you find yourself saying, well, is this really what I want to do? Is this, this is fun, this is nice, I may have a decent salary, I may be at a great company, but is this where I want to be? So I would say that's one aspect. And then the second aspect of that is usually, especially if you find a minority mentor or even just a woman mentor, you feel a lot of pressure to have to do it all. I work a lot. I have 5 kids. And I'm like, but I'm 27. Why do I, so, and I feel the pressure already of having to meet this goal of getting to a certain place in my career, my personal life, so that I can help somebody else. And I find myself being exhausted, not being as social with probably my friends as I should because I work so much. And so I feel already that I have to do it all. And I will tell you that I'm an only child, so there are days where I'm like, I don't want to talk. I just want to be at home. I just want to be by myself. But I can be in those social settings. So I would say that I feel the pressure to have to do it all. But that hasn't come from internally, meaning my circle or my family, not by any means. It's all been external.
And that's been our history because we've had to do it all. When you look at coming over here on a slave ship and being torn away from our families, and so we had to be the mama, the daddy, the uncle, the grandmama. Sure. We had to do it all. We had to go out there and pick cotton, and then we had to come back and raise a family. Then we had to endure, the slave master having his way. So we have not recovered from the effects of slavery, even though we're no longer enslaved. We're to a degree we haven't recovered. First Lady, would you like to share with us your mantra?
You would think it's a scripture, but it's not. I learned a while ago, people do not have a heaven or a hell to put me in. Amen. Their opinion doesn't matter. It's about the weight I give their opinion. Yes. So they don't have a heaven or a hell to put me in. So what they think about me does not matter because they're not my final judgment. That's right. I don't have to stand before them at the end. What matters is what I think of me, what God has shown me about myself. Because if you continuously try to please other people, there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like you. There's always going to be someone that has an issue with what you're doing and how you're doing it. And you have to have that confidence in yourself. It's interesting when she was talking because millennials, sometimes it's like, I can only do one a year. But God will send me some of them. But the first thing I ask them is, what do you want to do? Yeah. Well, what do you want to do? How do you feel about that? And it's like you said, sometimes their mind is so going so fast, so they don't take the time to think, well, what do I want to do? Or what is my mantra? What is my life stance? And if they don't figure that out, they will continue to live life as a sprint instead of a marathon. And then what happens once you get the success? Then what?
Exactly.
Didn't you see these famous people taking their own life? They're known all over the world. They have financial stability. But yet, they're still missing something.
That's good. Tia, you want to share your mantra?
Yeah. I have 2, really. I have a vision, and my mom used to always say, greater is he that is in me than he is in the world. And I say that to myself. And then the vision of my mom. My mom passed away when I was 16 years old. She contacted HIV at 23 years old with 4 children. The hospital injected her with it. So I saw my mother during that time with IV poles, still getting dressed up, putting her makeup on, cooking her kids breakfast, going to our events, sick with AIDS. So that was the vision I saw at an early age, how powerful that woman was during that time to still be a wife, to still care for her husband. Like my mother was pulling tricks out of a hat. I'm like, how did you do that? You can't drive. You can't do this. You can't do that. But she was doing so much and so sick when we didn't even really understand what AIDS was, when it was still a plague to have it. She protected us, her children, from that. We didn't find out she had it until a year before she passed away, because she protected us during that time from the fact that she had it. But that vision of her still being a mother and still enduring from family, you know, all that she did, and still having the willpower to get up, make us breakfast, and still give us scripture every morning. That, I can't stop. You say ain't nobody got to help me to put me in? No. When you have a vision like that in your head, I don't care what nobody think of me. Like, that right there, that inspiration, I've never had any other hero.
Right. That's good.
She has been my only hero. So I have never got caught up in anybody else letting me down.
Wow, that
Because
is awesome.
she has been the one person in the short amount of time that I've had her that I've allowed myself to even be fixated on. Wow. So I've never aspired to be like anybody else, and that has been the driving force for me throughout my life.
That's great. That's all. That is all. That is powerful. Modeled such strength for you that way. That's powerful. Holland. What is your mantra? And I like to call it mantra, Black Girl Magic. You know, all the things that we talk about? That's a real thing. Black Girl Magic, that is real. What is it that we have to really dig into to keep us moving forward? So I call it a mantra, Black Girl Magic, whatever it is. What's yours?
Yes, so I love questions like this because I'm a words person. I love words. So my word for the year is significance. And I've really prayed over that word, but that's my word. So I have 3 things, and I'll just keep them short. But something that's consistent is be the change you want to see in the world, and that's Gandhi. So I'm always looking for a solution. I never want to be the cause of an issue. I want to come into something and provide light, right? Second, I would say, is from my grandpa, who I'm very, very close with, and he says, your life is your testimony. And you don't have to tell people, you just do it. You just live it every day. And then my faith one, because that's huge in my life, is joy isn't a feeling, it's a focus. And so I have to be focused on carrying joy every day, regardless of what goes on. And I think going back to feeling like you have to do it all, and that's not even in the negative sense of I have to carry the load, just maybe I just don't want to just because I don't have to, you know? Maybe I just want to not do anything today just because I don't have to, you know? So just carrying joy throughout everything because I can. Because I have the capacity to have joy. Because I have the capability to have joy. I need to carry it.
Yes. I love that. Thank you, Holland. That was awesome. Miss Tammy.
She gave hers.
You did? Okay. I want to hear from Sassy C, and then I'll share what my Black Girl Magic is. Go on, Sassy.
I have two.
Okay.
One of mine is to thy own self be true. And I've had to learn that the hard way. Because as you said, we put on all these fronts and masks, and at the end of the day, we're not being real with ourselves. And so for me, I've just learned that I have to be true to myself no matter what. Like you said, I don't care who doesn't like it, who they don't. I went through something very traumatic at the end of 2017, and it really put me in that mindset of I have to be true to me, because there were people watching me go through what I went through, not knowing what I went through, and they were judging me based off of what they quote-unquote saw. And I was like, you know what? I don't care what you think. At the end of the day, this is all about me being true to myself. So that's one. And then another one more recently that I go by is there's never a loss, there's always a lesson. So I've just been telling myself, when I think that I've lost something, not necessarily that I've lost it, but what is the lesson for me in this, whatever it is that I'm going through? It's not a no, it's just a lesson.
All right. Well, my mantra or secret ingredient, I like to call it, is, and it's kind of 3 parts. The first part is all about self-awareness. And I had to really, really do a lot of work around self-awareness and really understanding that there is always room for more, and not to be upset about what I did before that. But there's always room for more, and I want to be self-aware of where I am, how I think, what's going on in the moment. The second thing is mindfulness. I've been, since the top of the year, I've been really focusing on mindfulness. What do I tell myself? What am I thinking about? And being aware of the messaging that I really have created in my own life. So mindfulness is so important to me. And then the other part is telling my truth. Being transparent and authentic is so important to me, and I haven't always been able to do that. I've been able to sit in my room and cry and tell my own truth, but would just, oh my God, if someone knew this, I just didn't know what I would do. But to tell my truth and be authentic, and then to be able to share that with somebody else to help them heal, and that just gets me so going, because I think it's just a missing ingredient for us, particularly as women, to tell our truth, because we don't think other people will relate, or they may go, but telling your truth. So that's my big piece. So I'll share my last piece as we close the show, because I think it'll wrap it up. But those are the three things that I believe in: self-awareness, mindfulness, and telling my truth.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah. Please.
So the tell your truth part, I really like that, because at some point in time, somebody's going to tell our truth for us.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to be the narrator in our own story, right?
Yeah.
So I think, and when I say tell our own story, be that while we're living or at our funeral, somebody's going to share something. So we might as well start with the source and be vocal about that, because somebody knows something about everything that we're doing.
Exactly.
I think people want to, I say, make it G-rated.
Right.
Or PG.
Exactly.
When it was a straight R-rated, X-rated situation. It was an ugly situation. There was power. And then you may not have handled it the right way. And as you said, they can't learn from the lesson because you didn't share how you truly went through the situation. I prayed about it. Girl, you had a nervous breakdown. You was popping them Xanax. It took more than you just praying about it. So I'm not giving the truth to the millennials or to the Generation Z if I don't share with them the entire testimony and how I truly went through that. I had a time where I shut myself away from everyone. I had a time where I went through bankruptcy, right? Like, they won't share the entire story. So the younger generation, they don't learn from it.
And first, we don't share because people I find don't share because they don't want to be judged.
I agree.
And so how do you get past, I always say that, tell your truth. It is. I ain't got nothing to be ashamed of, because at the end of the day, we all have done some things, said some things, and gone through some stuff. But like you said, the only way, especially with millennials, that they understand is that they see your scars. People are looking for people to be transparent and honest. So how do you get past having the courage, or how do you have the courage to share your truth and not worry about what somebody's going to think of you?
And that's the timing that comes from God, with discernment. As I said, look, Jeremiah is 17 years old, and God is just having me share the power of that testimony and everything that I went through, because God showed me they need to see you get through it and understand this is how you got through it. There are women who go through situations where they may have had an abortion, they may have lost a child or been sexually assaulted. It's okay if you're not ready to talk about it right now. Give yourself time to heal and understand the journey. And it may be 10 years down the road. Then God says, it's time for you to tell the story. I'm going to support you with the right people. I'm going to make sure I walk you through it. Then you have to be willing to say, okay, God, I'm ready. But I always tell people, you don't have to right away. Share some of the things. Divorce hurt. It's like a death. You have to mourn that process. And some women want to talk about it right away. You're not ready to talk about it.
Because you don't even know what you learned from it yet.
There it is.
You got to relearn yourself.
Absolutely. So Holland mentioned having her word for the year, and then you said my word for the year, and that's authentic. And so First Lady just talked about, and I think you grow to it. We live in a time of Instagram and Insta famous. So everybody is trying to put forth this fabulous life that is not authentic. And it's only in that being able to be authentic with yourself. Who am I and what have I learned in this journey? And it was never just for you. It is never just about the struggle or the overcome or the success and failures that you had. It is for someone else. It is for your fellow sisters, your fellow brothers who can't learn from it as long as you're trying to be Insta famous. When you can be authentic and say, yep, been there.
And,
So,
that
and this is what I learned
true,
from it.
And it
Exactly.
speaks to me because I'm probably an example of living a lifetime of not being transparent
Yes.
because I thought I was protecting.
That's what's good.
my
But you
mother's
couldn't.
legacy.
That was.
Yeah.
It was supposed to
But
come
it was
out
part
now.
of me.
Yeah,
it was
a
part of me
yeah.
and my brothers, and we
Yeah.
all protected her.
Yeah.
So we were lying. Oh, she died of cancer. It was people we